Hi everyone! Welcome to the financial side of Community Christmas. My name is Elisa, and some of you may recognize me from my prior financial presentations here at OWCAP. I have a huge passion for helping and teaching people about finances. I know that learning about finances may not be fun, but I did put this video together with some advice and tips on credit repair. The reason I picked this topic is because COVID has impacted so many of us this last year. Many have lost their jobs or have experienced a reduction in work hours and have accumulated debt, has had late payments, or have even struggled to pay rent. All of these things impact our credit, and as we work on recovering from this pandemic, I want to share with you some tips on what you can do to help rebuild and reestablish your process is learning how to change your mindset. This doesn't come easy, but it is one of the most powerful things you can do. Learning how to recognize a negative mindset is the first step. Once you do, you will be empowered to make those changes and start seeking out the positive, making it easier to accomplish your goals. Let's review the areas that are more commonly impacted and the changes you should implement when setting your financial goals. The very first thing on your list should be to develop a debt payoff plan. Building a budget and paying off debt is no easy task, especially if you just pay the minimum amount due each month. There are different strategies you can use. The one I recommend the most is the debt snowball method. The second thing you should be working on is not getting into any more debt. Pay off what you already owe. You definitely want to avoid accumulating any more debt when you're trying to pay down debt. So the last and final goal is to set up a financial relationship resolution. This means getting on board with your spouse. Try going on one free date each month. Prioritize your financial goals as a couple, and you'll come to realize that by working together as a team, you will drastically increase your success in achieving your goals. Okay, so we just went over all the mental adjustments and steps that you should be making in order to increase the success in achieving your financial goals. Right now would be a perfect time to grab a pen and paper to take some notes as we review the credit repair checklist. The very first bullet point on your credit repair checklist should be to get your free credit report. Everyone gets a free annual credit report. Now, once you have your report in front of you, you want to check for errors, missed payments, or other negative marks on your credit report. The second bullet point on your credit repair checklist should be to file a dispute. Now that you've thoroughly gone through your credit report, you want to dispute any errors with each of the 3 credit bureaus. The best removal method is done by sending each credit bureau a dispute letter. The third bullet point on your checklist should be switching up your debt. Consolidating your revolving credit card debt into a non-revolving debt in a personal loan is a better type of credit. Just make sure not to max out your credit cards or get into any more debt. The fourth bullet point, ask for a credit limit increase. Don't be scared to go to your bank and ask in getting your card limits increased. This improves your credit utilization ratio. Just be sure to keep your credit card usage as low as possible to avoid accumulating any more debt and keeping that credit utilization ratio low. The fifth bullet point, add the rent to your credit report. You're already making payments for your rent, so why not get credit for those on-time rent payments? The sixth bullet point, get tough with creditors. Just because you owe them money doesn't mean you should be scared of them. Try negotiating with the lenders, especially those whom you've missed payments for. Tell them that you can pay them off if they remove the missed payments from your credit report. Great, so we just covered the credit repair checklist. I hope you guys didn't think I left you hanging with a list of things that you should be doing and not give you any resources. Let's go over the credit monitoring tools that will help you get started. And my favorite part about this is that everything I've listed is completely free. So if you still haven't grabbed a pen and paper and you haven't been taking notes, I want to give you a few moments to go grab a pen and paper, because at least I want you to write down some of these resources that are really helpful. Okay, you ready? The very first resource I want to share with you is annualcreditreport.com. By law, you are entitled to see your credit reports from all 3 national credit bureaus every 12 months. By the way you request the reports is through annualcreditreport.com. Just be sure to request all 3, as your reports from Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax will not necessarily reflect the same information. You can request your reports all at once, or you can stagger them throughout the year. But if it's been a while since you checked your reports, or you've been trying to repair your credit, you should check all 3 immediately. Credit Karma. There are numerous free credit monitoring sites that allow you to see information from your credit reports, as well as credit scores all year long. Unfortunately, none are going to show you reports and scores from all 3 credit bureaus. This means you do need to subscribe to multiple credit monitoring sites. Credit Karma provides reports for both TransUnion and Equifax. The third resource I'd like to share with you is Discover Scorecard. Again, the credit scores you see through Credit Karma and Credit.com will just give you a good idea of where your credit currently stands. Most lenders still use FICO scores to determine eligibility. Discover Scorecard will just give you a good idea of where your FICO score currently stands. Earlier, we discussed on what to look for on your credit report. When you use the credit monitoring tools I went over, you should be doing more than just educating yourself on what's on your reports. You should be looking for opportunities to dispute the listings that could be dragging down your credit score. Specifically, look for anything that could be inaccurate or incomplete. If you find anything, send the credit bureaus a dispute letter. This is going to be one of the most powerful tools you can use to repair your credit. So you'll notice that off to the side, I did include a sample credit repair letter. You can use this template and tweak it to whatever your needs are. So using this sample credit repair template, let's review some of the types of letters that would be most commonly used and can be extremely useful to remove negative inquiries from your credit report. So what's a debt validation letter? Just because a debt collector says you owe them money, that's no reason to pay them without question. Even if it's not a scam, they may not have the necessary documentation to validate the debt appropriately. Make them prove it. Within 30 days of receiving the initial communication from a debt collector, send them a debt validation letter. If they cannot validate the debt, then you're not obligated to pay it, and the associated listing must be removed from your credit reports. Remove inquiries letter. There are 2 types of credit inquiries, hard and soft. Soft inquiries are nothing to concern yourself with, as they are not seen by lenders and do not impact your credit score. Hard inquiries, on the other hand, are seen by lenders and can impact your credit. Why? Because hard inquiries happen when you apply for credit. Having too many of these makes you look credit hungry, which classifies you as a risk. Next, we have the goodwill letter. Let's say it's been a long while since your last payment or payments, and you have since created a timely payment history. Write the original creditor what's called a goodwill letter. Acknowledge your past mistake, explain why it happened, and kindly ask if they will remove the late payment listing. It may seem too good to be true, but this does happen, especially if you explain how this negative reflecting is preventing any lender approval. The last letter I want to go over is a pay for delete letter. If you have an outstanding debt that cannot be removed from your credit reports via credit dispute or debt validation, consider trying a pay for delete letter. Just like it sounds, this is an agreement between you and the collection agency in which you pay the debt and they delete the listing from your credit reports. A pay for delete letter can also be used in your negotiations when trying to settle a debt. I really hope that you're still hanging in there with me. We're almost done. Let's quickly recap some of the things that we have gone over. So, we've talked about changing your mindset, what you should have on your credit repair checklist. I've provided some credit monitoring tools, and we have gone over some sample credit repair letters that will help you on your journey to repairing your credit.
Let's take a quick break and let's check out some bloopers.
My name is Elisa, and you may have seen me in my prior financial presentations here at OutCap. Guess I've never done a presentation as an avatar before, so they couldn't have seen me. Considering your consolidating your revolving credit card debt into a non-revolving debt in a personal loan is a better type of credit. How do I say that without making it sound so confusing? Oh my gosh. I gotta stay awake. I gotta focus. I need me some caffeine. Let's go over some credit building tools. But first, I want to answer this question. Why should I build my credit score? It's important to build your credit so that you can present your finances in the best possible way, whether it's to a lender or a prospective employer. Remember, good credit gives you more freedom to qualify for the best financial products that can help you save money and achieve your goals. Secured credit card. You don't need good credit to qualify for a secured credit card. What you may need, though, is a deposit. For example, if you put up $200, you get a $200 limit. Remember to use good credit card practices to help boost your score. You'll eventually qualify for a regular credit card, which at one point you can get your deposit back. A credit builder loan is just as the name implies. You don't need good credit to qualify for a credit builder loan. They are intended for consumers with bad or no credit. They can be helpful on their own, but especially in combination with a secured credit card, as they make a great credit mix which accounts for 10% of your FICO score. Rent reporting service. If you pay your rent on time, you should get credit for it. A rent reporting service can help. Each of them works a little differently, but the gist of it is this. You pay on time, it gets reported to the credit bureaus. And get this, FICO score and Vantage score actually use rent payments in credit score calculations. Credit counseling service. Whether you're just struggling with your budget or considering bankruptcy, a credit counseling service may be able to help. The initial consultation, information, resources, classes, and workshops should all be free. Just keep in mind, if you set up a debt management plan or get bankruptcy counseling, expect those services to come with a fee. If you struggle with budgeting, a budgeting app may be your solution. It can help set budgeting goals and keep track of your transactions. There are tons of budgeting apps out there. It's just a matter of finding the best one that works out for you.
Building credit and keeping yours healthy. Your credit score is a big part of your financial identity. It can be the most important factor in determining whether you can get a loan and how much it'll cost you. Your credit score is a number, the most common being known as a FICO score, that helps evaluate how much of a risk it is to lend you money. It simply shows how responsible or irresponsible you are with your finances. When it's good, it can help you get access to lower rates, which enables you to borrow for both short-term emergencies and longer-term, bigger-ticket items. That's why falling behind on your mortgage payments, car loans, or credit card bills is not a wise move. In fact, it may damage your future ability to borrow money. So while you may still be able to get the things you need, like a home mortgage or a car loan, it could cost you even more in the long run. And that's because you'll likely be charged a higher interest rate. Now, bad credit can affect you in areas of your life you wouldn't even expect. Take employers and landlords, for example. They may look at your credit score to see if you'd be a responsible employee or tenant. Some car insurance companies may also see a direct relationship between your credit score and the likelihood of you being in an accident. And in certain states, this even means you're charged a lot more for insurance. So how do you build a good credit score or protect what you've already built? In general, there are 5 things you should know about how a score is calculated using information on your credit report, some that weigh a little more heavily than others. First and foremost is your payment history. That goes for all of your bills on your credit report, not just your credit cards. This one's a biggie because it makes up a decent portion of your overall score. Creditors want to know that you pay on time, every time, even if it's just the minimum. And consistency goes a long way, so pay your bills when they're due and never skip payments. The second most important factor is how much you owe. It's a good rule of thumb to keep your total debt lower than the overall credit available to you. The lower the better, because if you get too close to your limit, creditors may think you're biting off more than you can chew, or that you are supplementing your income with credit. So whenever possible, keep this debt-to-credit ratio as low as possible. Third, creditors want to see that you've been managing credit for a long time. Your credit history shows how long you have been using credit, how you've handled that responsibility, and how responsible you've been. Establishing a good long history means you're an old pro at borrowing or managing money, and are likely to repay what you borrow. Next, your score may also be affected by the mix of credit types you have. A good mix will span different types of credit, from a mortgage to credit cards to installment loans like car payments, which are repaid over time, and can help you improve your overall score. This is because it proves you have experience handling a variety of account types, instead of having a lot of accounts in just one area. And when it comes to balances, lower is always better for your score. Lastly, creditors want to know what you've been up to lately. They'll look at recently opened accounts and where you're inquiring about credit. Even if you're relatively new to credit or were just thinking about borrowing, they want to see who gave you credit and when. Also, applying for too much credit can be seen as high risk because it looks like you're desperate for loans. Take department stores, for instance. Doesn't it seem like they're always offering you 20% off if you open up a credit card? Although it could save you some cash right there at the register, think about the possible long-term consequences of opening and paying for yet another account. So now that you know what makes up your credit score, it's important to check your credit reports, because that's how your credit score is established in the first place. There are 3 national credit reporting bureaus that you should know: Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. And you're entitled to a free credit report from each of them every year, which you can request from annualcreditreport.com. But you should know that only the reports themselves are free, and that there is a fee to get your actual credit score. Also, be sure you check your reports for accuracy and take care of any problems ASAP. You don't want any skeletons in your credit closet. In the end, the best thing you can do to keep your credit score healthy is to pay your mortgage, installment loan, and credit card bills on time. Also, be careful not to exceed account limits and make sure none of your accounts are delinquent. Getting an account turned over to a collection agency can really hurt your credit score. If you take these steps, you can achieve a higher, healthier credit score, and that's something that money just can't buy.
Credit protection tools. With identity fraud continuously being on the rise, especially during the holiday season, it's not a bad idea to at least know what protection systems you can put in place to protect your credit. Fraud alert. Whether you've been a victim of fraud or it's not fraud yet, but you suspect your personal information has been compromised, you can place a fraud alert on your credit reports. When lenders look at your report, they will see the fraud alert, letting them know that they should contact you before extending any new credit, just to be sure, in fact, the person who initiated is you. An initial fraud alert lasts 90 days. It can be renewed indefinitely. An extended fraud alert lasts 7 years, but it requires an identity theft report. Finally, there is an active duty fraud alert that service members can place on their reports for up to 12 months. Credit freeze. If you want to take your credit protection a step further than just a fraud alert, consider a credit freeze. Unlike fraud alert, a credit freeze prevents anyone from checking your credit at all. This is a stronger safeguard for 2 reasons. The first reason, most lenders won't extend any credit without doing a credit check first. 2, though they're supposed to check with you when they see a fraud alert on your reports, there's no guarantee that a lender will actually do so. So this will prevent any lender from extending any credit. An alternative to the fraud alert and the credit freeze, if you don't want to go that extreme, we talked about having a credit monitoring app such as Credit Karma. This allows you to set up alerts when any changes to your credit have been made, allowing you to catch any new credit that has been extended that you did not authorize and flag it as fraudulent. Congratulations! You've powered through this presentation with me. I just want to thank you for joining me today and for the opportunity for me to share these tips with you. I hope you were able to find useful information and remember that you can achieve your goals. Financial freedom is available to those who learn about it and work for it. Robert Kiyosaki.